And we're live.
We are live. All right. Let's just make sure that everything is working, which I'm sure it is.
I see the stream getting started on the left here.
Yep, we are good. I'll go ahead and post the tweet.
All right. Oh man, this setup frustrates me.
Is what it is, my man. You got the awesome setup outside though, right? So everything inside will work itself out.
Oh, right, I'll get there eventually. I'm sure of that.
Okay, so I posted so the link that went was actually an older link. Give me a sec. Those of you who are tuning in, we're just getting things going on the back end of things. We're going to talk some charts. If you've got recommendations of charts you'd like us to discuss, definitely throw those in the chat box. We will get to all of them. We don't really have a format, rhyme, or reason for today. We just wanted to get on and talk charts. Obviously, things are going nuts right now. And since we love crypto, we thought we would spend the time, as opposed to talking behind the scenes, just talk in front of everyone and see what's what and see if there are any plays to make. Dude, Jack, I know you have made a nice call yesterday with Fun. Is there anything that while I'm getting this stuff worked, is there anything you're looking at right now that we can kind of kick things off with?
I'm keeping a close eye on VeChain currently. And I really like Komodo where it's at the moment. So let's see if I can share my screen. I'm currently hosting from my laptop, so I don't really have all the charts that I wanted to have ready. So I have to chart them live, and it's a bit complicated, but we'll just do and see how far we get. Okay.
Sounds good. Yep. I think that's a good idea.
All right. So some screen sharing here. Oh yeah. So we were looking at MFT earlier, I think.
Yeah.
And
that chart was great.
The thing with MFT is why is it not zooming in? Well, anyways, the thing with MFT is that I really wanted to see a tap of a resistance, either a diagonal resistance or horizontal resistance. And at first, I thought that we were going to break out of this diagonal resistance that started to develop from the December 9th. And we actually broke above it. So we kind of broke that, but we closed below it. So that's not as much of a nice setup. But the price went to 94 sats, which, I mean, if it comes down now, there's a possibility of a bottom formation forming on MFT. We could actually see some kind of, inverse head and shoulders to play out, which sits around which looks like this. So basically what I was saying for MFT is that I want to see a retrace to 70, 78, 77, 76 sats, kind of like testing this low here of 76 satoshis. I think we got our orders in at 77 and 78 just to slightly front run it.
Right.
But I do think that if she's going to take off, she's going to visit this consolidation around 114, 115 satoshis at least. So I think there is a fair chance of a really nice run and potentially maybe 2x, depending on how, you never know. But I could see it go as far as 140 satoshis, especially since we've seen a lot of alts go like 2, 3, 4x in a matter of days over the last couple of days. So I'm and a lot of people I know are very bullish on MFT from a fundamental perspective. I thought it was a shitcoin at first, but I might have to dig in a little bit deeper because a lot of people I have a lot of respect for actually said, hey, you should have a look at MFT. I can't really fill you in on the fundamentals right there.
Well, MFT is one that, Mick Hagan, their CEO, is fantastic. I think as far as a project lead goes, he's great at networking. Got to have a conversation with him when I was pretty early on in crypto, and I was very impressed with the way that he carried himself. Since then, I've been a fan of MFT, and I like how they did their whole airdrop when they were kicking things off and how they distributed the token initially. So I thought that was neat. But I know there are a lot of bigger players in the space that have substantial holdings of MFT, or at least they did initially, because a lot of those drops went to some of the bigger names. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. This is definitely, as far as the chart goes, MFT at sub 80 sats is sexy because it can move. It's one of those that you get in and at low sat, it can easily, I think you're right, double up pretty quick.
Well, the thing that you see across a lot of alts right now, I hope I can actually load this for you guys, is we're definitely seeing a lot of accumulation patterns, bottom patterns, and some of them are more clear and more beautiful than others. But let's see if I can. Okay, so let's see if I can find fun in here. It's not here. Where the fuck did that chart go? Someone stole it. But let's say like KMD. I think this should be the. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Look at that.
So basically, markets, they move in cycles, and at the top of a cycle, you'll have distribution, which usually has a certain way of behaving itself and price action, where price goes. And the same goes after that cycle. You start to go down, you have a downtrend, and then you get an accumulation, which leads into the next bull phase of a coin or an asset. And basically what happens is that you have these phases, and you have your selling climax, and then you have a test that kind of defines the high of that range, and then you have a few secondary tests into a final spring, which is usually the third or the fourth low, and usually it goes lower than the lows before, and then has a proper reaction on volume, a retest of the lows, like reclaiming the support, and then it tries to break the high before coming down, and then it goes into a last point of support before it actually breaks out and closes above the range high, which is called the signal of strength, which usually sees a little back test, and then it takes off. So to show you guys what I do think that's possible for KMD to actually do, if this is currently the last point of support, it will then take off, and it will actually go above and really close above here without actually showing any wicks. Well, the wicks will, the candle close will be above that line, and then it takes off. And if you zoom out, it then will eventually move back to well, maybe higher highs, or at least go somewhere where it will start to distribute. And from the distribution point, you'll have the opportunity to sell again. So a lot of coins kind of look like this. Feed chain looks like this. Fund looked like this, and Fund already did the signal of strength, the sign of strength, and actually already retested it. We longed that retest. That's usually the most safe place, but if you want to have a point of most profit, you want to try and identify the last point of support, because it never should come back down there again until the next cycle completes.
One that I'd like you to take a look at, just because from I'm a TA novice, but the chart looks good to me, is Dent on Binance.
Fucking Dent, yeah. Oh, here it is, Fund. All right, let me show you Fund.
Oh, you got Fund? Okay. Yeah, there you go.
So basically, this looks a little bit different, because we had this huge spike like a month ago that went into the 200 range. So it kind of made the chart a bit ugly. But this is pretty much the same thing that we saw with Komodo. And I defined this as the range high, and then this as the last point of support. So we kind of like had their signal of strength, and we closed above that range high around 130 to 135 sats. And then we said, okay, hey, we're going to long the retrace. We had 3 entries, 122, 124, 126, and we got filled on the first 2. So an average entry of 125, and then it took off, as you can see.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I should have zoomed out a little bit further, because I would have seen this line here, and I would have used it as a price target. As you can see, it was rejected beautifully here. So That kind of sucks a little bit, but I do think there is a lot more juice in the can for fun, and I do think that we could see highs of like 200 sets. So basically, gonna wait for that to be reached.
I just got a little. My 18-month-old just opened the door. So those of you who got those banging noises in the background, that's what that was. But go ahead, man. Jump into Dent.
Dent.
And I'll be completely honest. Fundamentally, I have nothing to say about Dent. I just like the fact that it's a 29 sat coin and on Binance and has sat there for quite a while in that range.
Dude, this coin is like based on how the entire market is behaving. I'm gonna jump ahead, and I'm gonna assume that there's a fair chance that this thing is just gonna pop like a little baby. It looks great, to be honest, and there's a lot of room to the upside. It's kind of a bit of a weird chart. I mean, I would have assumed a bit of a different structure, and I would prefer for it to actually come back down once more to the 25 sat level. But if it is, in my opinion, on a retest, so basically, when you're talking about accumulation, I would probably call this the spring. I keep typing on my desktop.
Right there around like 24 sats.
I keep typing on my desktop. It's silly. But so you got the spring, and the spring then has a test which should happen like in this structure. So this is the test currently. So this is the test right here. And then after the test, we'll probably go up here.
Was that 45 sats?
45 sats. And then it should come here. It should come back. And if this level is going to hold the 35 sat level, that's probably going to be the last point of support before it's going to print. Why is this so complicated for this computer? LPS. I'm just going to call it LPS, last point of support. So basically what I think is a fair chance of happening for this coin is that it's in accumulation right now. It's going to jump up to range high resistance. It's going to get rejected, and it's going to come back down somewhere in this area, 35 to 39 satoshis, to consolidate a little bit, and then actually have a close above, come back into the 45 sat level, and then have a run up potentially all the way to like 60 sat, or maybe all the way up to I don't know. It could actually go as far like 75 to 90 sats. It really depends on how much volume and how much liquidity are on these coins, and if they have anything fundamentally going on. But it would not surprise me a 2-3x, because a lot of coins have done this, and this looks like a bottom accumulation pattern to me that has been going on for a long ass time. So yeah, anything could happen.
Well, and from an FA perspective, at least according to CoinMarketCal, I'm not looking at the roadmap or anything for Dent, but they are launching video calls. It looks like Q2, but between now and then, there's not really anything. So this may just play out technically. There may be FA that comes up in between now and June, but I mean, I'm with you. I think that this is just it's one that's just due. It seems like these are just cycling at this point. The FA isn't coming into play as much as I think people just looking at these charts and rushing into some of these plays. It's kind of like Raven today.
Like we've seen a lot of pump and dumps as well. So some coins they pump on fundamentals and they're actually in real accumulation. For some reason, people are entering back into these coins, I guess. Mm-hmm. And some other coins just saw crazy pump and dumps, and I've been trying to get my head around spotting out pump and dump patterns, and they're usually very spoofy patterns that jump at with low volume jump on. Mm-hmm. I think this could be one of those coins.
Well, market cap we're still under 120. So there's not new money in, right? Which always, for me, whenever I'm looking at these, obviously people are just shifting from one alt to the next. So it's a lot of us that are rotating between these trades. But I mean, there's been a ton of positive price action on Binance over the past couple of weeks. I mean, major multiples on a lot of these. Let's see. Freddie in the chat asked, do you still believe in OMG or is it a failed project?
What's up, Freddie from Belgium? Allee, ik hoop dat het goed met u gaat.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. I love Belgium. OMG, I mean, they're still working. It's still a decent project. They still have a lot of backing. I do think OMG will have its moment again. You know, it's going through a bottom cycle right now, and the longer this bottom cycle is gonna last for OMG, I think that the bigger the bull run is gonna be on OMG eventually. So
yeah,
let me have a look. Let me have a look. You talk about fundamentals. I'll do a bit chart.
I mean, my understanding, right, of OMG is that a lot of the holdup is the scaling issues on Ethereum. So as those get resolved, if they get resolved, then I think we'll see more positive movement out of OMG. I mean, they still have a partnership with McDonald's in Southeast Asia, and that is massive in and of itself. Their business model is one that is, I mean, frankly speaking, one of the prime things that need to be adopted when it comes to crypto as far as payments go. So, you know, I mean, I like it fundamentally. It's got a little bit of that already pumped aura to it, which I think is problematic in these markets because people are more likely to look for an unpumped shitcoin or a low sat shitcoin like that hasn't necessarily had that first pump, as opposed to what's going
on. I think I kind of lost you there.
Yeah, I had to mute the mic for a sec. So, yeah, so I think that, you know, OMG will have its day again. The chart looks like it's due.
It's looking juicy, bro. All right, so let me break this down.
It's volume, but yeah,
it needs volume, but no, this is a beautiful chart. Why does it look so different though on here? Maybe it's because. Well, anyway, I'm just going to zoom in on this part a little bit. So,
and guys, while he's doing that, those of you that have coins, feel free to throw them in the chat. We're keeping a list. We'll go through them all.
All right. So it's kind of weird. It kind of keeps falling further and further. But I would say that that there's a good chance that this is our spring. So price came in from the 49, the 50K set level, and then came into our selling climax. You see, and its selling climax then had an automatic rally up here to then retest the lows and then have a high. So let me break this down. We'll probably call this area like the selling climax. I keep forgetting that I have two keyboards and I'm typing on the wrong keyboard all the time. Please remind me when you hear my keyboard, but you don't see anything popping up. Okay, so this is the automatic rally, or perhaps this is the automatic rally, but we're just calling this the automatic rally. And then we have a few secondary tests. ST, we're going to call it SDL. And so anyways, this is the first secondary test of the lows, and then we have another secondary test of the lows right here, and then we have what I would assume right now is going to be the spring on this baby. So this is the lowest I do think that OMG is going to be, or at least I'm placing the bet that this is the lowest OMG will go, and it is now going to go into its test phase, which is going to test these lows right here. So OMG is currently at resistance of this level, 36K sats, and it will probably get rejected, and then we'll probably revisit the 34 to 33 K sats level, and then it's going to start to build what we just showed on the other coins, its last point of support. So basically, rejection, test, breakout, another test, and then it's gonna break this high to come into its last point of support, and then it's going to go to the SOS. So if I need to draw some diagonals on this, where I would wait to buy this if this level gets reclaimed, the 39K sats level, and then wait for the price to come back down into it. I think that's the best probability, the best trade opportunity you're going to get. It's a lot safer, because right now I'm not really sure whether this is the spring. So it could come down, and then 34K sat could be our support, but this could be like a secondary test of our lows, and then the spring is going to pop up way later. And to show you where I think that would happen is, let's zoom out on the coin signals that trade chart. You know, there's a proper opportunity that we may actually go lower. You see that? But if we manage to go above the 39K level and it comes back down into it, I do think OMG is going to be completing its bottom cycle. And as you can see, if we zoom out on this chart, if this is the bottom cycle, you know, this was distribution. This was distribution, and then we're building an accumulation cycle right here. But it's going to take a while. I don't think OMG is gonna moon like crazy in the next 2 weeks. It's going to take some time to develop.
Well, OMG right now is at a $182 million market cap. So, at least in my opinion, it's too big to get much attention at this point, right? So, something with that big of a market cap, if it has an upcoming catalyst or there's something on the roadmap, I think then you could potentially look at seeing some positive price action. But right now, the only thing that I am aware of with OMG is how closely tied to Ethereum it is. So I think that the more positive news we see about Ethereum, the better that will bode for OMG's price action.
Yeah.
And adversely, conversely, the more negative that we hear about Ethereum, that could potentially bring us to that lower spring that you had mentioned. Mm-hmm. Dude, Raven is ripping right now. We're at 388 sats. Started the day at around 340. Mm-hmm. So it's ripping face at the moment. I know someone mentioned that in the chat. Yeah, I loaded another bag at around 335, and I'll probably take profit on that entry at around 480. I think we may see some resistance there. I could totally blow through it, but that's just such a big position for me. The entry from 330 was just a swing play. I know you mentioned in the Discord that you're pretty bullish on CMT right now. Oh, you brought up the WAN chart. Okay. All right. So WAN.
This is one chain. I mean, I do think she doesn't look too bad, but I would love to see some more confirmation. Like this could actually, this could be our selling climax, and then a little rally. But I think the rally is a bit weak. I mean, we could actually, on the larger scheme of things, say this is like our selling climax, and then this is actually our spring low. But if this is really an accumulation bottom on the grand scheme of things, she has a lot of room to go upwards. So I would probably wait for. I mean, you could go long here, but I don't think the bottom is necessarily in. I would love to see some confirmation. It's difficult to say. 1, 2, 3. What I would say, like on a smaller time frame or a smaller scope, is I would love to see a break above the what's that? All right, so a break above the 10K set area.
Which we're about 10% off from that right now.
And then I would love to see a break of the 11K set area. If we can do that, and then we have a retrace to just above 10K set, that's probably a place where I would feel confident in maybe taking a long position. Or if we actually break out of this level and go to like 12K set and then come back down into the 11K set area, that's probably where I would love to look to take a long on one chain.
So from a straight shitcoin perspective, I always look at history to be an indicator of the future with everything, obviously. But MakerDAO, Loopring, Chainlink have all had incredible pumps over the past 60 days-ish. I mean, Link's run's been a little bit longer than that. But MakerDAO and Link have probably been two of the best performing assets in recent memory, especially considering the bull market. And then Loopring over the past couple of days has popped. Those three are all tied directly to one chain. So there could be an outside chance that TA could be negated for FA and this thing could pump just on that. I don't know that that'll be the case, but you could make the argument that one chain is next up. Those kinds of psychological things when it comes to FA for shitcoins, it makes a difference.
I mean, you have a nose for this kind of shit, you know, like you're always the guy who comes up with, okay, dude, everyone is thinking this or that, and you're always saying like, oh, we should have a look into this, and then that 5 days later that shit pumps. So I kind of trust you on your gut feeling there.
My only thing is I wouldn't enter it now, just because I don't personally like Juan. So Juan is one of those trades where I don't know why Dustin Bynington left, but anytime a CEO leaves a project like that after they have had such a successful launch, for all intents and purposes, it leads me to believe that they were only there to pump the price and raise funds, which either can be good because they want to create runway, or it can mean that it's a total bag of shit and they just know they wanted to capitalize on what they could. I'm not saying it isn't going to provide what it says it's going to provide, but just for me, I stay away from one chain. Funny story though, it's actually the reason why I was able to have my portfolio bounce back, because I put additional funds in to buy one chain when it got on Binance, and I couldn't catch it, and my orders didn't fill. So I actually shifted all of the money that I was going to use for one chain over to Banca, which ended up being my bounce back for my entire portfolio. So we got kind of a love-hate relationship for one chain.
I never understood in the first place why it was worth so much. Like it got to a huge market cap, and I mean they were so far away from producing anything real actually. But I mean every shitcoin did that. So
and that was one that I know people have whatever feelings they have about Ian Bellina. I will say, got a chance to meet him over the weekend. He's a nice guy. But I think that Juan Chain was definitely one of his bigger pumps. There was also a long time between, when the ICO completed and when it was released. So that was another, I think it was like 6 months, which at that point in time, people were starting to get concerned because the bull market was wrapping up. We were coming into like the last little alt pumps in the spring. So I think that all kind of played into it. But when it hit Binance, it rocketed so fast. I mean, it was just impossible to catch that. So, yeah. And that's another thing is there's a lot of on-chain bag holders. If they haven't capitulated, there are a lot of people that are still holding that bag at a very high valuation. So that always worries me as well, because as these kinds of coins pump, the odds of those people dumping it is highly likely. So, anyways.
Sure.
Moving on, let's see. Dragon Ball Crypto. Any thoughts on ENJ and ZIL? ENJ is engine.
Engine coin. I got a friend. I wanna do a shout out to him. I'm not gonna call his name, but I got a friend who should rewatch this, and he will love it because he's an engine lover. He will absolutely love hearing about engine. Engine.
$26 million market cap, 588,000 in daily volume. How's that chart look? Ooh.
What do you think about engine, Philip? What do you think about engine? Total shitcoin?
Yep.
It's
they all are until they're not, right?
I think they will always all be shitcoin. I don't think the term shitcoin is ever going away if you're a real OG. Like in 10 years time, you remember when everyone called crypto shitcoins, and then if you don't remember, you won't be an OG, you know?
Dude, I will say Charlie Shrem had the funniest, he corrected someone who referred to an altcoin. And he went on a little spiel about how it's an alternative to Bitcoin coin. That's why it's an altcoin. It's not an alternative coin. It's an alternative to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the only one that matters. But it was, dude, I will say conferences are fun. You learn some stuff, but it's cool to see the personalities of people behind the scenes. Like getting to meet some of these people and talk to them was very interesting.
I mean, it's tough to say what engine is doing. I mean, currently, I don't think this is a level where I would buy it at all. If anything, I do think it's probably going to retrace further. It kind of bounced off a support level that I don't really understand. So, I mean, it has support here, but I don't really know why it has support here. There's nothing in this chart that tells me like, hey, this is a very logical level of support. And if anything, you know, it kind of broke this 900 set bottom and it hasn't made a new high. Volume is dropping further and further, whilst the price is trying to reclaim these highs, but it's not getting there. So kind of looks weak from here. I would be much more confident buying this when it actually retraces to 700 to maybe even 680 sets. I would not be touching it here personally.
And just from an FA perspective, I don't understand its use case. Empower your user base with true ownership, prevent fraud, increase your revenue, and explore the blockchain gaming frontier. As far as I know, every chain that has the ability to host games, they've got their own devs building games for the community. I know, like with TurtleCoin, they've got devs building games for the community. Raven has devs building games for the community. Like, I don't know that there's the need for an ERC20 token. That sole purpose for the company is to provide that service to other people. Because I don't know that there's enough people that want to build blockchain games at this point, right? It's not like a thriving industry that's jumping. And when it comes to gaming coins at this point in time, I think Wax is the clear front runner. Like if you're gonna try to dig into the space and you want to get some exposure to a shit coin in the gaming world, Wax is that's the clear front runner, especially considering that they're tied to Opskins, which is a company worth hundreds of millions of dollars that's already established success in that industry. So, and just a tough one. It's a tough one. And it's really overvalued right now. $26 million market cap. And I know a lot of things are, but taking things case by case, I do not see the justification of a $26 million market cap.
Hey guys, just give me 2 seconds. I really need to hit the toilet.
Uh-oh.
Be right back.
Leave me by myself. This is going to be fun. So, yeah, let's see. Their use is minting gaming assets. It's great for the use case of the cool. Yeah, I know I can kind of come off as a dick sometimes when I talk about shit coins, just because I like to go into everything as super skeptical and then let my research prove me wrong. But I mean, hey man, there would be nothing more exciting to me than finding a project like that I'm completely wrong about that ends up on the shitcoin tree. I was talking with somebody about that over the weekend. I think that the thing that I'm most excited about over the next 3 to 6 months is really digging into a lot of the projects that I haven't gotten a chance to dig into. Because we all get confirmation bias, right? Like we all find the projects that we like. Like at this point, I think everyone knows that I'm a huge Raven fan and a huge Turtle fan, and it's almost laughable. But at the same time, to my own dismay, because it's stopped me. Those coins have been profitable, but it stopped me from looking at other projects, you know, because I feel confident and comfortable in where they're going. But I do, and I'm excited to get back into dig in some of these shit coins and figuring out more. We will definitely look at Go and Link, Brett, definitely. First up though, I know there he is. Beautiful man, Jack Sparrow's back. I think the next one we should look at is Zill, because that's another one that Dragon Ball had mentioned. But yeah.
let me unplug my desktop again. Oh man, all right. So for everyone who is listening or watching the stream right now, I'm just recently moved to Portugal, and the internet sucked. So we bought a 4G hotspot, which works great. Honestly, the internet is great. But then I didn't have a Wi-Fi adapter for my computer. So right now I'm like doing some kind of hybrid stuff between my desktop and my laptop, and it's the funniest shit ever. I just keep on typing on the keyboard of my laptop, or the other way around, and then not understanding why there is nothing showing up on my screen. Zilliqa? Should we have a look at the BTC pair or the Bitcoin pair? I'm just gonna have a look at the Bitcoin pair first. Yeah, this looks beautiful. I think Zilliqa is. I mean, I think a lot of people in our team really like Zilliqa, and its current price action really almost makes me want to FOMO, because it's about it retested this, like, we had this major sell-off capitulation and then this high. It's getting back to that level. So if we can manage to break out of that level, which is sitting at 686 sats, I do think Zilliqa is in for a major run up. I mean, this looks like an accumulation that has been going on since August. So that's half a year of accumulation. And I do think, well, almost half a year. An accumulation of half a year on a coin like Zilliqa, which I fundamentally like a lot, is going to cause for a major bull run. And if anything could happen to the market, like new money comes in, I think Zilliqa has a fair shot of doing very well. So for now, I would probably be careful, because we're getting close to resistance. But the thing that I would like to do with Zilliqa is one or two things. So we have that resistance of 685 sats, or more, no, somewhere about there. So basically, what we want to see is that Zilliqa breaks that level. So the price goes above it with force and volume, and then it will obviously retrace. On that retrace, we'll be patient, and we might actually retrace below the breakout level. We may actually come down back to the current level, the current price. But as it comes back into there without too much volume, it's a lot safer to play it, and we'll enter at pretty much the same price. Currently at 625 sats, we will probably enter at 640 sats without having to FOMO. Because right now, I mean, it could see rejection at the current price level, and then it could test one of these supports down below. Perhaps 560 sats is a level that I would think is logical. 540 sats is a level that I would think is logical. It's going to take time to develop, or it's going to break out. As long as it doesn't break out, I think there is enough chances to catch it lower. And if it breaks out, I do think we can probably catch it for the same price that we do right now. So, I mean, patience is probably the most valuable asset that you can have with this current market. You see all these coins pop all the time, but they do come back into those levels of the breakout levels. So careful if you want to go for it. But Silica looks very nice. I do believe she's going to perform really well. Preferably, I would love to catch Silica on. I mean, I would probably need some more time to really come up with a real strategy on this. You know, like it's really hard for me to just with one look at a chart say, okay, this or this or this or that. But let me just quickly chart it out a little bit. This way. I do think that I would love to fill somewhere in between. Let's see. Yeah, I would love to fill a bag when ZIL gets back to 516 to 500 sats. If it doesn't, it means that it will break out of the 685 sat level, and then I will try to catch a retrace on it, which will happen at a certain point in time. Maybe not, maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe in a couple of months, but around here, just below this level. So anywhere here.
And I mean, a good thing that I like about ZIL right now is that 25% of the daily volume is against the Korean won. So I'm always a fan of that. Anytime I see a lot of trading volume against that, it's a good indicator for me. We've noticed a little bit more of the kimchi premium coming back into play over the past couple of weeks. So it's nice to see something like this trading well against it. It doesn't look like there's not a big discrepancy in price here. It's actually the same across the board. But yeah, and ZIL is and that's for a lot of people, that's a long-term bag. It's a great project.
Well, let me explain what I really like about this ZIL chart. So we had this giant capitulation. Price was just free falling into the August 14th level, which bottomed around 392 sats, right? And after that, we started to form this little pennant or consolidation. So price was starting to stabilize between this 685 high and the 300, 400 sat low, and the volatility became less and less and less and less. And at a certain point in time, there was this apex, like center end of that pennant that we see here, and it broke down, which often happens when the move that comes into it is downwards. What I really like to see on coins this has been happening on seen this on Bitcoin as well, is the equilibrium of that consolidation to be reclaimed. So what is that equilibrium? It's probably around the level where it started to break down, which is a supply and demand flip. There was more supply, there were more bears selling into it. The fact that we later on crossed that level of a 550 sats is a bullish thing. It's a bullish thing. You see how it retested this level a couple of times. That's really bullish. It means that the bulls have reclaimed a previously very bearish territory. If we can retest that level once more and see a really strong reaction with volume, that really shows that this thing is going to go up for a while. So yeah, like I said, the 570 to 560 set region, that's where I would be for now, aiming for an entry unless we break upwards. So I like ZIL. Yeah.
Boom. All right. So moving on, let's see. Engine. Okay. GoChain. GoChain right now. Let me see. So we're looking at a $14.6 million market cap, $737,000 of daily trading volume. All right. Almost all of it on Binance, of course.
All right. Give me 1 sec. I need to check my Discord for a moment.
Okay. Mainnet is now live. So, I mean, obviously no one from GoChain is watching this. If they are, my one critique would be don't compare yourself to other people on your website. Like, the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, from a business perspective, is to say we're so much better than this coin. If you ever feel the need to do that, you're probably not, right? Like if you feel the need to constantly compare yourself to the best, then or to another, then it's a big sign of insecurity, and it's just a really weak marketing tactic. I mean, if you're better, let your product speak for itself and highlight the benefits that you pose, not highlight how you're better than your competition, right? That should be what all the trolls and the people on social media do for you if you're really as good as you say you are.
All right, so GoChain. I have no clue what GoChain does.
GoChain is a scalable, high-performance, low-cost, and decentralized cryptocurrency and blockchain that supports smart contracts and distributed applications. So, I mean, for lack of a better way of putting it, they're comparing themselves to Ethereum. That's kind of what they're doing on their website. So, Ethereum, but better.
Interesting. Okay. Well, this chart doesn't look all that bad, but I think I mean, seeing how all these other alts have behaved, I think this should see a pump as well. I kind of like a bit of a different structure usually, but let's say I think there is probably some divergences.
So it's down. It looks like volume. There's a big volume candle on the 16th. So 15th, 16th, a little bit of a run up on the daily.
I mean, I would not buy it right here. I would not. It just doesn't satisfy the way I trade. I would have bought it probably around here for a quick scalp. But you see, we had this like bullish divergence on the RSI, and we probably see that on some other momentum indicators as well. Price was coming down, and RSI was going up. So, and then it started to move faster. So the moment it came back into this level one more time, which was like a similar low to the low before, that would probably have been a signal to go long on it. Right now, I'm not really sure because there's also a bearish divergence, which is not as strong because it's still below the 50 RSI. But you see how the RSI has trended up with price still trending down. So I do think there is another leg down for this coin.
What do you think of the hammer on the daily? I mean, how do you feel about those hammer candles? I mean, is that a bullish signal in your mind?
I like hammer candles if the hammer candle is actually the lowest point. So kind of like, okay. Let me try and explain what I would like to see for a hammer candle.
And for those of you who don't know what that is, if you look at the most recent daily candle, it forms a hammer, right? So that's the reference.
Okay, so. Man, why does this thing not let me draw anything? Oh, wrong, wrong keyboard. All right, so a hammer candle that I like to trade, but I want to have it. I want to see it close. Is for okay. So this is a green body. This is a green candle, and then a little line. So this is the wick, right? And then I like to see a red candle here. So price comes in, goes lower, and then it after this candle, I would like to see this. So I want that hammer to be the lowest point, and I want to have it to see it have a great wick. If this candle starts to trade like this, it's not any good. So I would enter. Like I never enter just based on a candle, but this hammer is just you know, it's not a bottom. and there is more room to the downside on this candle. So if you enter right now, I do think there's a fair chance that we actually do test this low, or go at least try and test it. So your risk reward, if you would draw a long position, if you would like enter on the next candle based off this hammer, it just becomes complicated, because where are you gonna, like you need to put your stop loss right here, and then you can probably your target right there. It's not a great place to trade. But if this would actually happen right here, so you would have a red candle coming down, and then a green candle like this right next to it. It's I think it's more of an opportunity. But you don't want to trade just candles. I mean, it's a stupid idea just to trade off candles. Just don't do that.
I always like to get your perspective on those kinds of things. So I mean, overall, this is just one you wouldn't enter right now.
I wouldn't, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't fly. It just doesn't really satisfy what I would like to see from it doesn't satisfy the way I would trade, I guess.
One that we can look into, we'll look into Link, but let's look into Storm. So I think Storm just had some. They either had a catalyst today, or they've got something upcoming. Let me bring up their social. I've seen them on Twitter a lot today, and it doesn't look like there's been any movement at this point. Storm's an old favorite.
Which one?
Storm on Binance.
I mean, they're getting some attention right now, because they're doing an airdrop of like $10,000, I believe, that you can redeem in what was it? Bitcoin, Binance Coin, some other coins.
ETH. Yep, ETH or Storm. Yeah.
Look, this is a chart that I love way more. Like I don't have anything to the left right here, and it's been consolidating. This looks like,
dude, when you zoom out, it's so sexy. Like zooming all the way out on a shitcoin chart, it doesn't get much better than that. I love that. Sorry, go ahead, man.
Storm somehow, I like this way better, because we had some very steep price action into August. The 14th of August was a bottom for a lot of things, and then we started trading below it, but it's not falling out of the sky anymore. It's just going sideways below the low that was our where it's really was falling out of the sky, and after that it was not falling out of the sky anymore. So kind of feels like everyone who wants to get rid of their bags is selling their bags. So people who want to jump onto some other shit coin, they sell their Storm like, oh fuck, this coin is not moving, and there's just someone waiting patiently, just buying all this Storm until nobody has any Storm left. You know what's going to happen when nobody has any Storm left? It's going to be very stormy.
Rocket. So one of the projects that someone had mentioned is Raven, and yeah, I mean, you can literally go back to any of our previous videos and catch information on Raven. Right now it's pumping like crazy, that's for sure, but I don't think we need to get into that one today. It's not a chart at this point that we would recommend that you enter, considering it's up 20% in the last few hours. It'd be like the definition of FOMO at this point. Go ahead, man.
I'm just going to do another live wick off, because I do think this one qualifies. This is a beautiful Storm. The chart of Storm is absolutely crazy beautiful.
That volume candle, man. The volume candle, was that like the 10th of January?
All right, so
9th.
All right. So we have our so-called selling climate. Wrong keyboard. Selling climax right here. And the selling climax has always an automatic rally, and then comes back down, and then a secondary retest, ST, secondary test, another secondary test on the top, and then it has a secondary. So this is phase A, right? And after this dotted line, we go into phase B. Phase B right here. And phase B starts with a secondary test of the selling climax. And I actually like it when it goes lower, which it did. You know, like it broke below 100 sats. Beautiful. What she then is going to do in phase B is she's going to do another secondary test, or she's going to establish a range high, secondary test high. So I'm just going to call this STH, and then ST low. You're gonna find this pattern on a lot of coins right now, guys. So pay attention. This is important stuff. This could be your trading juice for whenever the next cycle happens. So ST high, we'll have a secondary test high, secondary test low, secondary test high, and then she's going to come into our spring level. So it always happens a bit different, but we could call this an STL right here, and then this is going to be our spring. And it is not a confirmed spring, because for the spring needs to actually, you know, it needs to go back above 120 sets, I do think, but it is in the making, you know. So we have our low here, we have our low here, and then we have our next low here. What a spring needs to do, it needs to go above this STL right here. All right. So then what's going to happen? We're going to have our spring, and our spring will go into a test. So if this is our test right now, it should actually go back up here. And then we're going to go to range high. So, I mean, a range high test right now, guys, look at this. Is to, no, you can laugh at it.
Oh, I'm not laughing at it. That's exciting. I'm right now. I'm looking at loading a bag. That's
100%. It is 100% to go to range high, and I do think that this volume of spring is always accompanied with a shitload of volume. So you see how this spring goes into a lot with a lot of volume upwards from KMD. Well, I think we're currently in our test phase. Let me just double check. Yeah, so then you end up having your test around here. It's going to take a while. This coin is going to take a while, and that's actually good. The longer it takes, the more accumulation is going on, guys. Mm-hmm. A coin that takes a long time means there's someone who's willing to spend enough time and resources to accumulate this coin for a long time, and is not looking for a short-term pump. He wants to get as much of an asset as possible because he believes in it long term, and that's where the smart money is telling you to actually get into this coin. So I mean, if you're patient, you would wait for this range high to be broken, but we're so close to the bottom right now. We're literally like less than 10% above the bottom, so that's peanuts. So the test happens, and this is the fun part. You know, it's gonna try and reclaim these lows to the left right here. So the first low here got claimed. It's now trying to claim this low, and then it's going to claim that low. That's how the test works. It needs to claim all these 5 lines, and if it can close above that, I would argue that the test phase is over. So test phase, as you can see here, it needs to reclaim all the lines from the lows to the left, and then when that happens, we get to we could argue that we maybe need to claim this low as well. So once we get there, this is where the last point of support, let's call it LPS, is going to happen. And this is where the juice is. I would preferably either enter at the test here or at the LPS there, because from those points, I think there is the risk reward is actually really good. You could also wait, in the grand scheme of things, for this to actually break this high, close above this high of 160 to 170 sats, and then enter there. Because if that happens, I do think the accumulation is over, and we're never sure on how far it's going to go up, but I do think that it will at least go back to, let's say, 400 sat. So that would be a 6x, 5x from where we are right now.
Merry freaking Christmas. Oh, man.
But, you know, that could be a year from now.
Well, and, you know, also, and correct me if I'm wrong here, with market conditions as they are, you shouldn't be waiting for a 6x. I mean, there's no new money. So, I mean, if you're getting a 100% return in a week, take that shit and be happy with it. I think too often that people lose is they're waiting for it.
As a trader, yes. I do believe take profit and then find another good entry, you know, sell it at resistance and try to re-enter lower again. If you are really fundamentally fond of a certain project and it is in an accumulation like this that has been going on for like 5 to 6 months, and you do believe in the long-term viability, you could keep onto it a bit longer. But honestly, with crypto, I think it's necessary to take profit and take profit early, you know, and you can always leave a little back for whatever reasons, as long as you got your investment out.
Yeah. Well, before we've been on here for about an hour, I think we should, you know, kind of get close to wrapping things up. I do want to take a look at a couple of just absolute shit coins before we go, though. These are not yet on Binance. The first that I'd like to look at is Hydro, HYDRO. Trading mostly on Bittrex. I know it's on IDEX as well, but Bittrex is where you're going to get the price action.
Well, you mean hydrogen or hydro protocol or
hydrogen? Hydrogen. Yes.
Yep. All right.
So fundamentally, this is a project that I really like. Their team is great. They're very communicative. They are not only pushing out updates, but they have an active sales force that's looking to bring in clients to use the products that they're building. So from an FA perspective, they are actually a business that runs efficiently. So I like that. And I mean, I'm not mad at the fact that it's like a 43 to 45 sat shitcoin right now. Market cap I'll bring up while we look at the chart. So market cap, we are at 6.1 million, 263,000 of daily trading volume. Yeah. So what do you think of the chart, Jack?
I mean, it looks like it's ranging in an area where previously buyers have stepped in. So there's been some wicks that went lower, but it's fair to say that, holy shit, is that all right? So 38 sats. There seems to be there have always been buyers between 38 to let's say 45 satoshis, the current price level. But you know, you have to be considering the fact that every time it jumped less and less high. I mean, the trend, it's fair to say, is undecisive, but every time it jumped back up, it was less strong and less strong and less strong. So I'm not really sure. I mean, buying it here doesn't seem like a bad idea, but I'm not really sure. I would prefer for this coin to break 84 sets instead of buying it right here. But if you're fundamentally fond of it and you know that it's probably going to get listed somewhere, it might be a good buy here. But I'm just a bit afraid that it eventually is going to break this bottom, because the more times it's going to visit here and the less volume it's going to show to actually make it bounce again, just makes me a bit of... I mean, yeah. We've seen this with Bitcoin. We've always seen this with coins. A low volume on the bottom without a proper reaction is not necessarily a good thing. It could be accumulation, but like I said, I don't know anything about this coin fundamentally. And low liquidity coins are sometimes very hard to chart from a technical analysis perspective.
And to be clear, I do not have an idea of any upcoming listings. So just want to make sure that is said. This is just a shit coin that I keep an eye on. I do not currently have a position in that. The next, maybe we can look at let's look at Box. Let's look at Block Party. I know we've covered it on the show. It appears to have bottomed out or be bottoming out at present. Again, trading on Bittrex. There's some other exchanges, but Bittrex is the one that I've looked at it. I had a chance to talk to their head of business development and their CEO over this weekend at BTC Miami. Really great guys. Really hit it off with them. Just from on a personal level, they're great. I like their hustle. They are really out there, working their asses off, and they deal in a space that can benefit from blockchain. Ticketing in general is a business that having an immutable ledger that you can refer back to ensure the authenticity of a ticket that you're buying on a secondary market. It's very important, So I do like the use case. What do you think of the chart?
Is there any liquidity on this coin?
No, yesterday I think they were at like 42 Bitcoin in daily volume. Right now, let me check because I think it dropped off yesterday. I think. Right now they're at 50K daily volume. So $975,000 market cap. So it's
that's small. That's really small.
Oh yeah, that is a shit coin, sir.
Well, it's not having a bottom formation.
Okay.
It has not shown any trend flip. So for me, it's still in a bottom. It's still going down. I would need to see some volume, and I would need to see a close at least above 1,300 satoshis. I would say a proper close above 1,300 satoshis to start considering a potential trend flip. And then I would still not enter. I would still wait for another confirmation, a bounce of 1,150 satoshis or maybe a bit lower. I would like to see like a double bottom or like a W to be forming. But let's be honest. It did. The downtrend is slowing down. So I think there's a fair chance that this thing is going to turn around. But right now, it does not have enough. It doesn't tell me enough. It could actually break down. I don't know who are holding these bags. I don't know who are going to pump these bags. But saying that it's only like $975,000 in market cap. Like yesterday it did $355,000 in volume. So that's decent. That's a ratio of 1 to 3, 30%. I would consider that quite high. So considering the market cap, I do think the volume is not too bad. And then this looks like a start of a trend that slows down. You can see the giant bullish divergence that occurred since that started to form since the end of November. So I do think there is a chance of this coin forming a bottom. If it really starts to revert, I do think there is a ton of upside to it. It should not have what happened. Oh, it should not have any issue to. Let's see, it should not have any issue to at least go up to, let's say, 2,800 satoshi. So that's 140% from where it is right now. But I would not mind catching it a bit higher and then just take like 80 or 100%. So
once you got confirmation.
Yeah, I would rather enter with some confirmation. And it could still be that, you get to enter at the same price level as you get now, but then at least you have some more confirmation and a better probability of this coin going upwards, especially because it's such a small coin. It could fly anywhere, and I would rather not gamble, or at least not risk too much on such a small coin.
With you. Okay. What do you think, man? Do we have time for one more?
I think we should wrap up. I think I kind of mixed up time zones ever since. Like,
Since you moved.
I think I had a phone call an hour ago.
Fantastic. Okay.
Well, not now. So I think I'm going to wrap up and see what's going on with that phone call.
Let's do that, man. Let's do that. Well, I'm glad we were able to jump on. Thanks for spending the time. Thank you to everyone that jumped on with us, and we'll probably do this again soon. Yeah, I'm really happy that at least the internet connection has proven itself now. I do even think that the quality is way better than back at home. So that's something I'm really happy with. I hope we are going to be good to go for the live podcast again soon. I mean, there's been a lot of things going on back at Bravado. There's a lot of updates that we have to make. We'll have to update you guys soon, but I cannot spill the beans yet. That's so sad. All right. Soon. Until then, guys. All right. Well, Jack, I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Peace. Thank you guys for watching.
Take care.
See ya.